You are out of status in Canada, your status expired, you ran out of status, and at this point you don't know what to do. If you have lost your status, you are out of status in Canada, first of all, don't panic. There are ways for you to regain your valid status in Canada. In order to find out how, stay tuned until the end of this video. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Rup. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. At our firm Effizient, we assist all prospective immigrants with their immigration to Canada. If you are an aspirant, you have questions, here is our contact information. Feel free to contact us and we would be happy to assist you. If you would like to talk to me personally about your case, you can book an appointment. The link to book an appointment is in the description of the video. Please book an appointment and I would be happy to chat with you. In this video, we are going to talk about how to regain your valid status in Canada if your status has expired. This is in other words called restoring your status. But before we talk about restoration of status, let's quickly answer the comment of the week. This comment is with regards to the permanent resident travel document video that we had made. The comment is a big question, very case specific question, but the concepts in this particular question are very interesting. So I just want to bring that to your attention. The question is that my wife's permanent resident card expired in 2018. I'm a Canadian citizen. We've been living outside of Canada together, and my wife has not lived in Canada since 2013. The PR card expired in 2018, but now she wants to come back to Canada. The child is a Canadian citizen working in Canada. What can we do? Can we apply for a PRTD, or should we apply for spousal sponsorship or super visa or a visitor visa? Excellent question. First of all, if your wife is a permanent resident, there is no option to apply for spousal sponsorship or a visitor visa or a super visa until she renounces her PR. Now, you may think that her PR expired in 2018. No, the PR card expired in 2018. She's still a permanent resident of Canada. She needs either a PR card or a PRTD to travel back to Canada. If she wants to apply for a visa, she first needs to renounce her PR status by applying to the Canadian consulate in India and asking them to voluntarily renounce her PR status. In your case, specifically, again, I cannot talk about targeted advice to you, but in general, if a permanent resident is living with a Canadian citizen outside of Canada, the residency obligation is met. If you are accompanying a Canadian citizen outside of Canada, that counts towards your residency obligation, and your wife would have complied with the residency obligation given that provision in the immigration law. You can apply for a PRTD for your wife and it should possibly go through if there are no other issues with the application. I hope this helps. Now coming back to restoration of status. Guys, if the status expires or you go out of status for some reason, for some unfortunate circumstances, you are not able to extend it on time, or you had such a situation where you went out of status, the government does not want you or does not expect you to leave right away. They request you to leave. However, the government knows, IRCC knows that sometimes outside of the control of the applicant, of the immigrant, the status may end and they may not be able to do anything. And in such scenarios, they give you 90 days to restore your status. This is a legal provision by Government of Canada, by IRCC, and it states that you have 90 days from the expiry of your status or from the day you lose your status to apply for restoring your status. Within these 90 days, you need to apply for restoring your status, and further, once that application is approved, you will come back into status. Now let's go over some common questions with regards to restoration of status. The most common question is, I have applied for restoration. Can I continue to stay in Canada after applying for restoration? Is it okay for me to do that? The answer is yes. If you have applied for restoration within the 90-day period, you can continue to stay here. Your status is still not established until the restoration application is approved, but you can stay here, and if someone asks you, you can tell them that you have applied for restoration and you would not face any further problems. Second common question is, can I leave the country while a restoration application is being processed? This is a very common question, and it's very important to understand that restoration only applies if you are inside Canada. If you have already left Canada, your status in Canada is no longer a question because you're no longer living in Canada, you have left the country. In that case, the restoration application does not mean anything. That would be deemed abandoned or it would be cancelled because now you're no longer in Canada and restoring your status has no meaning, and hence that application has no meaning. So it's necessary, if you want to restore your status, you have to stay in the country, you have to stay in Canada while that application is being processed. If you have to leave Canada, if you choose to leave, that's fine. It's just that you leave Canada, that application for restoration may be cancelled or deemed abandoned. Again, because restoration was to restore your status in Canada, but you've left Canada, so that status is no longer a question. That is still okay. Third common question is, I am planning on leaving Canada after I've lost my status. I want to leave in the next week or 2 weeks after losing my status. Is that okay, or should I still apply for restoration? The answer to this question is, if you're planning on leaving after a week or 2 weeks or even 3 weeks after your status expired or you went out of status, it's okay. If you're planning on staying for a month to 3 months, it's advisable to apply for restoration just to be on the safe side so that you do not face any problems in the future. Another common question is that I have applied for restoration, uh, but I'm still scared if being out of status while that application is being processed, or being out of status and living in Canada in general, will have an impact on my future applications, such as when I apply for my permanent residence. Guys, the 90-day grace period for restoration and the provision for restoration is made by the government, by IRCC, for this exact reason. It is completely okay if you have applied for restoration for you to stay in the country. It is completely okay for you to be out of status, provided you have applied for restoration and you're waiting for that application. That is the essence of this provision in the immigration law of Canada. The problem occurs when you're outside of that 90-day restoration window and you have not applied for restoration, or your restoration application was denied, and then you continue to stay in Canada out of status. Then you are in trouble. Then any future applications you do may have issues, because now you've been staying beyond restoration illegally in the country, and that's where the government will definitely have problems with you. Another common question is, do I need to fill some special form to apply for restoration of status? The answer is no, there is no special form. If you're applying to restore your status to a worker or to a student or as a visitor, that particular application form will have a checkbox to check mark that you are applying to restore your status. And if you do that and pay the required fee for restoration, you are good to go. Along with it, just add a cover letter in the application that explains why you are in the need of applying for restoration, a little information about why you lost your status in the first place, and then why do you need the restoration, is enough when applying to restore your status. Last but not the least, can I work while I have applied for restoration of status? Guys, once you're out of status and you're applying for restoration, you cannot work or study. You can only wait for a decision on that application. Restoration is to restore your status. It does not give you any implied status, applied status, any maintained status. You cannot work, you cannot study until a decision is made on your restoration application. All you can do is wait. So please, if you're applying to restore your status, don't indulge in work or study, as that would cause problems for you in the future. So that's it for this video, guys. In summary, we answered a lot of frequently asked questions with regards to being out of status and applying for restoration. Be it, do you need to leave Canada immediately after your status has expired? No, you have the window to apply for restoration and don't need to worry about staying while your restoration application is under process. You can stay here in Canada even though you're out of status, but because you have a restoration application, you are well within the law and well within the IRCC's mandate to wait while your restoration is being processed. Secondly, you can leave the country, but if you leave the country, then you have basically abandoned your restoration application. So while the restoration is under process, if you plan on leaving Canada, just be aware that that restoration application may no longer be processed by IRCC. It will be deemed abandoned or will be cancelled because you've already left the country, and the question of restoration does not apply anymore. We've also talked about how you can go ahead and apply for restoration And lastly, if you can work or study while the restoration application is under process. I hope this video was helpful. Guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you are notified about any new video that we upload. If you found this video useful and you know someone who would also find it useful, please share it with your friend, family members, or whoever you find will find this information to be valuable. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.